the international system, while the international community accept any interpretation, the United States must not be breached because of pending support for prohibition threats the future of this regime. The United States cannot persist in this environment, and creative breeding is the only path to survive. Scenario 1 is Afghanistan. The plan ends the global prohibitionist regime. While 13. The approach is style the United States sought to collaboration support for the U.S. style war on drugs. The United States to take at the stand of the forefront of information and implementation of policies because the U.S. support had the ensure prohibitions, repressing experimentation, emergency places, shifting U.S. and the unique to replace them with policies surrounding health. 1 2 8 experiment picture the regulation. This will help return image internationally and repair relations because the scope of the market is created by U.S. marijuana represents a single mechanism for experimentation because the U.S. will influence, so it is called for a majority will also follow peaceful approach to access the catalyst of federal governments remove marijuana from to reform. There's still application for some of the U.S. international relations can improve because marijuana is an actual mechanism for that through dominant effect and confirm the global prohibition regime. The United States capitalized setting the stage for policies that are effective. That diminishes Taliban strength in Afghanistan. Coin Hall 17 prohibition is essential to fail institutional abroad because China's policy Afghanistan have been not domestically have been counterproductive policy against U.S. drugs. Policies centralized the cartels and strengthened the Taliban. The Taliban became a one-stop shop for opium because of strengthened by pushing resistance towards the organization. Automatic a new stable government secures an Afghan peace still stops regional escalation for Sunni Kabuli in 20 Taliban. Enter the talks with confidence because the tussle left a little bench for the make so that you go will not jeopardize any settlement. This will heighten the new cycle of violence and prolonged violence. It involves more regional actors concerned that the group will not often stop this mission will likely involve more rivals taking on a proxy war. Ghost nuclear drones in 17 Afghanistan advances will likely allow the Islamic State groups to increase presence war increasing instability. India, Pakistan, Iran, and Russia support insurgency groups watching France and trust crown between nuclear Pakistan and India. These engage in a proxy war. It will spur a refugee influx into Europe that causes national floodgates to break the Europe in the lethal in 19. The civil war will lead to Afghan refugees to Europe. This got death of bloated liberal democracy. The national pact would crush the entire image of the United States democracy in the world. The question is whether they can be struck with a deal with the Taliban over the state. NCRP Project Lahore 19 nationalist movements in the EU. They know that you should your sentiments increase your acceptance of disengagement sentiments is building Russia as a nationalism and exercise threats to Europe and EU and NATO. Right, extinction. Right, 12. Collapse of unravel integration and Europe to generate dangerous volatility in international order because the failed markets come to pressure, failure to content, anti-Germanism, downturn, unrun political authorities, and exasperate tensions over the Middle East and China. Disintegration would damage the transatlantic alliance by stopping resources, diverting attention. Scenario 2 is cartels, U.S.-led prohibitionist regimes cause global failed states, including Mexico, split in 20 linked to American pressure. The entire plan has been substituted by prohibition. The United States UN conventions feel legal background global prohibition with the world on a lockdown where we remain obligated to cartels of Mexico for prohibition benefits only drug traffickers as security apparatuses. Externally failed states cause extinction, marching and five because coalitions spawned from human rights, poverty, starvation, and disease, prohibition, WNT, genocide, destabilization, and conflict, and cartels, and the threat of subverting government are real failed states into global peace. Our cultures on the brink, capitalizing on COVID to push out their resources of income, but inaction spars the regime more for 2020 because they're 2020 is going to be bad for Latin America, depending on the illegal drug trade, but the cartels will adapt. Cartels are experiencing problems in their supply crisis, are not international drug link, because next to will be crucial for the entire legal industry. Cartels will use the crisis as an opportunity to annihilate competitors and causing further violence. Marijuana alone is division. Lopez 18. Prohibition failed to produce marijuana. You see, wars on drugs failed. Prohibition created a black market for cartels. Marijuana made up 30% of the revenue through legalization. Cartels lose such revenues as a sales transition, crippling through operations around the world. Revenue streams determine viability, clash and flow, ensure state failure. Grimmer Canadian, the Mexican government is no longer control of this country. Military operations operated outside the international laws. The drug continues. Mexican military cartels proven sentence for forced attack. They offered a better way to collapse the order. As unlike Europe's failure, rippers globally. Jones and Row 17. Mexico spill over to the United States. A weakened economy post security threats. Unrest increases instability. The fact goes the other way because cycle means political instability is hard to shake. Drug trafficking increase also likely to increase. Mexico's instability can spill over. There's a whole body of breaches. Human utilization increases the instability in the United States-Mexico environment. Deteriorate all the way to a failed state. Draws in the U.S. and collapses U.S.-Mexico cooperation. Makes them 14. Violence may expand. This will force Americans to military powers. Cartels miscalculate, strike the American targets. Miscalculation mounts via narco-crackers and terrorist groups. Helps that might strike the United States, pulling into a transnational proxy war between America and Iran and Venezuela, using the military kit and security cooperation to damage the relationship bilaterally. Spurs arms racing that escalates. How to contend? We face increasing threat from drug trafficking, insurgencies, and attacking Mexico shot from American revenue base. A crucial step in Mexican insurgencies to affect America's role in the rest of the world. Breakdown would cause many to question foreign policy ventures to should the Southern world become a security threat. Object adversaries would adjust to this in looking America with potentially disruptive arms races. Nuclear war, MAD, and rationality do not check. Hogan and 15th threat is nuclear war. The more states, the greatest probability that before MAD states go through a transition which they lack a second strike capability in the context where both have incentive to use nuclear weapons. First, the state might believe it is a first strike capability. Fail or lose them, use them as opposed to do risk of fear might start a war, and the belief that war is inevitable. Crisis result in nuclear exchange. Collapse of regional cooperation causes WD attacks in the Caribbean. War in 15, the Caribbean states were constrained by lack of resources, being astride shipping lanes is the cause of vulnerability on the geography. Poses security challenges. Problems include gaps in broader management, customs port security. This increases the total WD entering the supply chain for portability. Destined for the United States. The risk could be terrorism or smuggling weapons of WD. Great power conflict for Islamic 19. Not traditional, but a greater risk than traditional, non-traditional issues present security threats for the entire region. The presence of Russia, China, and Iran, and places the issue of geopolitical rivalry on the security landscape. I have a minute left, Raphael. Do you want to do anything, or are you good?
You're fine.
All right. Sweet. Zahir.
Yeah. I'm here. All right.
Yeah, ready for cuts.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first advantage about federalism, the warming scenario, which state is currently considering a climate policy that isn't doing it due to fear of federal preemption?
I think, all states right now are not doing it because they're afraid of federal preemption. But if the plan gets rid of federal
really the reason that Texas and Oklahoma aren't doing it is because of federal preemption?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but also there's like a California model that other states could abide by. So
okay, the second advantage, all of your cards are not talking about marijuana. They are about opium, heroin, meth, cocaine,
I think a lot
etc.
I actually think a lot of them are talking about marijuana. I mean, there might be some that are talking about opium as well, but there are a bunch that are talking about marijuana. The Smith card is about marijuana. The Lopez card is explicitly about marijuana.
I understand that your cards mention marijuana.
No, it's not the. No. I mean, we have evidence from the Marijuana Business Daily, literally that are focusing on marijuana. I mean, it's like a thing, like the first card.
I don't know if that's the card I would point to in terms of qualifications.
It's not it's just referencing marijuana.
So the foreign affairs federalism stuff, being able to solve democratic legitimacy, etc. What state decides not to go to war because they negotiated with the states as opposed to the federal government?
I think this is a better question for Raphael.
It's not that the states conduct negotiations in foreign affairs. It's that a system of government where the states and federal government have checks and balances between each other is more democratic and consequently is influential to the other system of government that states choose to adopt.
Yeah, just to
the United States. The United States appears more democratic. What does that do to solve things like Europe, North Korea, Russia, etc.?
It means that when we try to take a negotiating stance in a position of moral authority in foreign affairs, it's more credible because we're faithfully adhering to democracy as opposed to hypocritically preaching it.
Yeah, the Kasparov evidence says that leadership starts at home, which means that it's an a priori concern to strengthen institutional legitimacy before we engage with other branches.
What moral stance are we about to make that would be bolstered by having the states and the federal government be on the same playing field?
Almost every area in foreign policy, the U.S. is trying to induce democratic transitions and stop autocratic backsliding almost in every country in the world. I mean, this probabilistically makes all foreign policy more effective because it's committed to democracy.
George, why does marijuana spill over to broader federalism?
Our evidence says
also gives examples of Obamacare, gay marriage, gun control, etc.
Our evidence says it's the largest internal link to federal-state collaboration. There's this Schwartz card is amazing. It literally says it's the most pressing federalism issue of our time.
But why? Give me a warrant. Give me any reason why that's true.
Okay, hold on. I mean, I can read the card for you. State process has been thrown into confusion. State laws, fear of federal authorities, block enforcement. I mean, it just explicitly says it's the most pressing issue. I mean, it's a big dispute between federal and state rights. Is that the end of cross-ex? Do you need prep?
Is that the end? Okay.
We don't need prep. That was the end of cross-ex. We do not need prep.
Okay, the 1NC sent out. It's 5 off, then the federalism advantage, and then the treaty advantage. Okay, does anyone not have it yet?
I still don't have it.
Okay.
Okay, you're good.
Okay. First off is T police reform first action taken to correct unlawful behavior. Billy 95 police reform first action taken to change police behavior modification of police behavior may include organizational structure. Police and sentencing reform is process-based, changing what the law is rather than how it is enforced. Is in topical. That 11 the sentencing reform means hold no change of jurisdiction. Sentencing is a legal structure for sentencing. Better process than new sentencing is very much a separate question. Voting issue for limits, allowing infinite laws to be decriminalized and overstructures and negligence reform and undermining preparedness for all debates. Next off is the counterpoint. The 50 states in the District of Columbia should eliminate their prohibitions on and establish regulations for possession, cultivation, and sale of marijuana. The United States Attorney General, the 50 states in the District of Columbia should enter and implement cooperative enforcement agreements under Section 873 of the Controlled Substances Act that binds the states and the District of Columbia to enforcement against illegal production and sales and return for federal representatives to the state nations. These agreements ensure that they create a formal, safe, and reliable provisions for industries that do businesses with legal marijuana businesses and require compliance by federal agencies. The United States should propose amendments to international documents to authorize signatories to illegal marijuana compete and avoid elections. That's C13. The government has local legal respect in the states every foreign and speech or federal law and state and federal government should enter into contractual agreements under Section 872 and so that all laws will be effective in the United States. Enforcing application of the project is the prosecutorial discretion and development policy that ever operates with the states and TC does not fall there. The AG and just not cooperative as focus law destruction treaty reforms laws. That's not 14 be the best means of aligning the civil government with the rules of the amendment. If there's no better within 18 months, the amendment becomes fully adopted. Next off is the elections that Trump will lose now, but voters are somehow that's Hill 317. The good news regarding the amendment is probably building a coalition support that can women never marry equally important now by the whole in the district and liberal urban districts in the search for Trump in Michigan was a crucial state. And the question is whether the voters will stick. The plan is a shock. It pulls the rug out of the firm Democrat strategy. States Trump and key swing states as Kavanaugh 19. They're removing the federal ban to secure the strategy when the Democrats are releasing the weapon starts from the position where the putting key swing states. But it's Trump the Democrats can best legally see that one of the sales repairs rate return and burning appeal of millennial voters without eliminating space. Trump's re-election permanently collapses U.S. leadership, places the global instability and great power nuclear war. That's why 20 for decades great strategy was characterized by the partisan concerning U.S. global war and Trump has the utility and forward of military presence for charges that are not sure about the leading public but it's re-election. That could take quickly feel like our geopolitical out of the NATO by telling U.S. not to aggravate the major power conflict partners and free trade is a false promising first return to worse and regional European competition in geopolitical second for all with the protection involves nuclear proliferation conflicts have a greater chance of spiraling into expression and interpretation to behind nationalism seeking building like the spheres of influence. Next up is the advantage from the United States. The United States should maintain federal marijuana prohibition, but shift federal enforcement to the organized crime drug enforcement task force and ask the OCDGF to prioritize the asset of forfeiture to stop cash flows from international drug trafficking organizations to expand counter narcotic resources from the African trade threat finance and increase anti-corruption assistance, shift its counter narcotic strategy away from the gratification prioritization direction and alternative development and focus on deterrence and implement a cap and trade program requiring 82% reduction in 2005 levels of emissions by 2015 and President authorized the state to develop programs that integrate the programs are the federal cap and trade mandating that to return the revenue for federal cap and trade actions used to further state economic goals. First plank South cartel that's also 15 the centuries we have are allowing enterprise to money into narcotics and taxes arresting and destruction for having people through the business law enforcement. We took just one thing into a health cash flow and this would further the federalism of the anti-drug fight is the best use strength. Second and third planks off Afghanistan scenario makes war on drug effectiveness rather than ground for team limited working for disease crimes, justice and corruption and weakness in the rule of law. Selectivity does mean that the criminals are targeted to create signals within the market for blank sales climate and federalism broadly. That's Snyder and by Binder 9. While the local authority will within the local governments have a strong internal federal government essential elements are the captured in the federal justice would allow the transition into the federal government upon the terms of the preserve the state building the federal might be dynamic partnership needed. Next off is the treaties. They said descheduling marijuana now frequently violates international drug control treaties that fashion 19 the international drug control treaties are big on and remain a separate federal solution before the United States treaty. The obligation international treaties are anti-federal civilization seriously considered nearly crafted treaty changes in any of the three international treaties will not be easy states act would leave the cannabis in schedule and when it complies with this obligation to criminalize cannabis. Sequencing is key. Legalizing before gradual amendment corrects the global treaty regime that's been in the last 14 the U.S. places carbon habits will narrow the head and the legal order and with the marijuana issues for the consensual radicalization terrorism and also increasing the international agreements of marijuana treaties are highly available because they will offer the opportunity to demonstrate into the legal challenges rather than around the order for the American weakness and conversely putting the boundaries that could weaken the order. Ensuring the U.S. can't flagrantly violate regimes is key as necessary to global treaty strength. That's key. Seeing that Trump with the human rights considered the U.S. will draw on the all along becoming a reality. There is a work to do in pushing back the American sections of using the international norms like keeping human rights on 11. This requires the engagement of global institutions, merit emerging threats, risk extinction. That's work 14. Interconnectedness and able to accomplish practical and beyond borders and purposes. Survival first and both respond dangerously and Satan. He possesses the ability to sort through rights and vehicle materials as usual when one can visit the catastrophe probably global governance built on human rights, anyone could build upon the recognition and the practice system would need individuals to bring in new actors and organizations within the law. The federalism advantage marijuana doesn't spill over to broad federalist trends that within 14 to few words of coming to enormously the small and limited unfortunately because we really by land to grow in federalism. The issue is very usually narrowed by any human marijuana small and compared to massive programs like Obamacare. Federalism is resilient. That's what we want for the American federal system has recently feeling only one to the safeguard to protect federalism while permitting special rentals and tons of all causes. I'll be 17. The ban and federalist principle to basic president regulation, take great state gun control, and like drug hours in those hours such as financial privilege and responsibility of the public would be anything in the right encouragement toward the reform and place the ACA. No correlation between state discretion and policy changes. That's lower the ATD. Despite difference in the policy ambition, not only scientific and same issue at the same time, not because the state span influence national policy and the state agenda for moving together our agenda are changing. It is not clear that the national agenda would come anything close to the conflict. Various manners, federalism fails in practice. Bottom line, source 18. While federalism very firm house, the idea is more complicated. There's a little synchronization and the political needs are not always necessary in front of losing funding, disrupting and everyday partisan busy conflicts in these own operations and policy never turns to fear, new work, teaching and threat of losing funding can make states free from China and they're always in retaliation of the economic and outward in the state and online and anything decisions can vote start with first person increasing gridlock. The states find themselves in the road and increase the state against the world. Democracy doesn't solve war. That's got 17B. Yeah, so finding effective democracy is based on the territorial issues the process the democratic precedent and ignore rebel democratic leaders and built to resolve the problems not only we find the consistent evidence that us just not surprising the Pacific and events that we want to shoot and also not only able to likely to conflict and audience customers of the electoral question present even in the jointly democratic relationship these make it deliver over leaders trust and inhibits conflict and facilitates the persistent hostility. Federalism can't stop warming. That's current in 16B. 1/3 of all CO2 emissions in account for the years 94% of homeland federal and Indian lines of mineral federal and state rights and interests surrounded by land and federal rights adaptation and treating actors check that's for 17 the most likely the warming are like the next stage directions hydration federal terrorists of probably extremely the warming of time over which there's not any humanities but without everybody's engineering the nature of scenarios the international community will be strong as that China the way to reduce global temperatures. Trump makes it inevitable he'll slash other regs for rock and Paris and change the social cost of carbons. The treaties advantage marijuana doesn't spill over American 14D Washington imposed many reports premature and the first marijuana only heroin and methamphetamine and the opinion also the new legalizing drug wars might respond to marijuana by hand become prohibited drugs. Trump is dedicated to prohibition. Clinton can't change that for other drugs. That's 20 the Trump has to be used for America operation in the defense strategy described the operations as part of the approach to combating the political structure. It was important to focus on reducing the political and predicted the operation would radically improve the U.S. introduction efforts. Obviously, no coordinated global harm reduction. That's task force team to drug problems global and any issues that will be best limited to marijuana, prohibition, Russia, and the United States and the contradictory and incompatible. COVID-19 makes Afghan instability inevitable and blocks a peace deal. That's around 417. How do you maintain a no crisis? Taliban on board an Afghan government appears to be working through to come and go into a year of case. Imagine that everybody who's in the 50 dies of COVID-19 along with the Taliban leadership. Drugs are key to the Taliban that Taliban and Brown 13 the Taliban could constitute itself without access to large market rebuilding its spiritual base from the 19 and poverty and economy and the illegal traffic of illicit goods. Eliminating drug traffics would do nothing to curb Afghan insurgency. That's part of 9 of the Taliban relationship with the end of the events at the cutting of the flow traffic significantly to the insurgency of multiple resources rubbing even for political goals. The EU can't manage any crisis. That's Mayor 17 the public side of streaking Europe and the populist origins of power and Britain, Poland, and captured a third of the main waters. The second most powerful and the second seaholder in Germany and the feels amazing community shaping the European politics and views once considered tabular, once mainstream. Plots not key. That's mirror 15. Mirror 15. The latest statistics show that consumers are turning to the causative and the police state Mexico and that prompted farmers to European organization and marijuana. And so this reflects the lower demand and appreciate the cartels and for urgency of heroin and meth. Even if pot matters, legalization fails. I spend 13 million for stakeholders. It's got marijuana and revenues and the product also in the double the legalization unable to purchase and show them government technology immersion they have other enterprise which is for structures well suited in those ominous scenarios. Their ventures to replace marijuana status quo sauce as in the 419 coronavirus is dealing with the government of the illegal drug trading paralyzing economies and closing borders is really virtually realistic growth has been impacted in supply chain restructuring cartels and increasingly shifting away from drugs that require plenty in growing seasons. Gia?
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yep.
You good?
Yeah.
First question, the treaties decide, how can you win this if legalization is happening globally now?
The argument is specifically about the United States. The argument is that when the United States is in full party to international drug control treaties.
What about a bunch of other states?
What? Sorry?
What about a bunch of other states?
What states?
Like states are legalizing marijuana now.
Okay, so our argument is about the United States taking a national stance in the context of drug treaties. Obviously, states like Colorado taking a stance doesn't send the same signal as the entire U.S. federal government passing like sort of legalization or decriminalization.
It's not about a signal. It's about international drug treaties.